All right, there we go. It is March 5th here and moving right along through the year. I think it came to mind for me to create something for you guys that I think will be very helpful. And it's a little process. I started talking about it last year at the end of the year. And it's like a checklist. It's something that I do periodically. And this year I'm going to do it more often. The
Oh, a
more
checklist is awesome.
Yeah, the more often that you do this, it will push you to get better results. And it's basically it's a checklist of questions to ask yourself. And the questions are very revealing. It's like if you want to do more business, you have to ask yourself, are you doing the right things to make that really happen?
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the biggest things, the biggest key ingredient of growing your business is growing your list.
Yeah.
If you're not growing your list, you're not growing your business, you're stagnant. You're fishing from the same pool and there's no more fish being brought in. So that can get stagnant. You know, when you catch all the fish out of the pond, there's no more fish to catch, right? So you have to have a way to bring fresh new faces into your community, and that's your list. If you are not building your list, like I ask myself, what have I done to put new people on my list this quarter? And then I'll list those things out, and I'll ask myself, okay, what could I do to do that better in the next quarter? And it keeps the stuff top of mind of what you really need to be focusing on, because that is one of the biggest things, is growing your list. If your list is not growing, you're, like I said, you're stagnant. Now
So the question is how do you grow a list?
growing your list is basically through making offers. You have to have those little micro commitment offers. You have to give things away. It's like when if you're asking somebody to get on your list, that's a transaction. That's a sale. And we talked about that like in the fast track training. Everything that you do is a sale, whether there's money or not.
Right.
If you're asking for something, you're asking for them to get on your list, what are you going to give them in return? Like in business and commerce, you're giving them a product or a service and they're paying you for it. That's the transaction. But to grow your list, you're giving away something free of high value. In return, the transaction is they're allowing you to communicate with them. They're opting in. They're getting on your list. So you need to come up with different things that will allow them to want to do that. Like you have to say, hey, if you want to do this, I have this really cool thing that will make it easy for you. Would you like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you kind of build value to it, and they'll say, yeah, I would love to have that. Well, great. Here's how you do that. You just opt in here, then you get the free thing. And now that you've given them the free thing, you've started the marketing process. See, if when you grow your list, you're growing your marketing prospects. You're growing your process. Your process, you know, for anybody that's been following the ACT program for any time, you know the process is grab attention, create demand and desire, eliminate objections, and make an offer. That's how you grow your customer base. So that is the marketing process. That's the marketing system that you have to create in your business. If you look at any operating, functional, successful business, you will see they have a process to acquire customers. They have a process to turn those customers into sales. You know, it's a sales process. Every successful business has a sales process. If you don't, then you're probably not going to do very well in business. So business is all about transactions. It's all very transactional. Whether you're generating a list, whether you're growing your customer base, whether you're selling more stuff to your existing customers, it's all transactional. And like I said before, a transaction, whether there's money moving or not, it's still a transaction. You know, when I do the training, I talk about how this closely parallels dating. You know, dating again is very transactional. It's like you want to have a meeting. So, you know, what's in it for the other person? Hey, well, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. You know, that's a very small bite-sized commitment. Most people say, oh yeah, you know, sure, I'll do that. Because you know, it's a small commitment. You both are going to meet with your own car. If it doesn't go right, you leave. You know, a bigger commitment is, hey, I'd like to take you on a dinner date. I'll pick you up at 8. That's a much bigger commitment that's much more complex. And it's the same thing with your offers. You don't want to make complex offers in the beginning until you've got the coffee date. The coffee date is your opt-in. That's growing your list. So these things parallel very closely. Think about it. Think about the decisions that would have to be made if I were to say, okay, you know, let's go out to dinner. I'll pick you up at 8. You're deciding, oh my God, do I want to get in his car? Oh my God, do I want to be held hostage till he decides he wants to bring me home? What if it doesn't go good and I'm uncomfortable for like a 2-hour period? No thanks. Not ready. That's what happens when you make your offers too soon. When you don't have that creative, the demand and desire before you make your offer, you're out of sequence. So again, it's very much like the dating process. If you think about it in that way, you will probably become much more successful in your marketing. Small micro commitments. When you make the small micro commitment, the next step becomes very natural. Like, let's say, you know, we have the coffee offer, we meet for coffee, we enjoy each other's company. So now the dinner date, a lot of the mystique and the fear is off the table. Oh, okay, you know, I like this guy, I'd like to spend more time with him. Okay, sure, I'll commit to that. See how it's a natural progression. You want your sales process to be a natural progression just like that. If
John,
it
can I?
is, it'll be smooth. Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
Hi, John. Can I jump in? I wanted to ask you. So
Sure.
you're talking about assuming that your business is on Google. In terms of your clients with physical commodities or with supplements, like with our supplement business, the
Yeah.
latest statistic that I saw a couple of weeks ago is that for physical commodities, 60% of online consumers are now going directly to Amazon and not to Google. Google is number 2. Amazon is now the number 1 place. So much to the point where a lot of consumers have the Amazon app on their phone. They're not
Yeah.
even go. They're not even going to Google. They're going right to Amazon. If you have a physical commodity business or supplements and you're not on Amazon, where a lot of competitors are, we're not on Amazon for various reasons, which I won't get into now. But if
Sure.
you're not on Amazon, do you see a problem if you don't have a presence among those competitors on Amazon? Will enough consumers bounce out of Amazon to do research on the products before buying into Google? Will they bounce out of Amazon into Google?
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. What
Well, when people are buying stuff, they have this kind of idea that they're going to get the best deal from Amazon. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is Google is now the referrer to Amazon. If you search like almost anything, if you go on, this is a search engine thing. If you go on to Google and you type in almost anything right now, it doesn't matter if it's a product, a service, a property, real estate, the top results are big brands. And Google is favoring the big brands. So in your case, when somebody looks for supplements and Google's favoring big brands, Google's actually favoring Amazon. So they're adding insult to injury to that problem that people are flocking to Amazon, and Google's actually sending them there. So it's creating an even bigger problem for you. Now, the fact that that's happening, that's something that you can't change. So what you have to do is you have to look at the market from a different angle and say, how can I reach the people that are not there yet? How do I reach the people that want this, and attack the market from a different angle? A lot of times there are groups of people, like in any different thing, in any different niche, there's always groups of people that congregate. Like there's Facebook groups for all kinds of different health issues, and people that want to do better in this or better in that. There's always groups that form. And this has always happened in the real world. Like in the diet industry, there's Weight Watchers. There's all these different diet groups, and this is like a human nature type thing. People tend to flock to the groups because there's security in numbers. That's a psychological thing. And whether they want the actual outcome or not, that's the really weird part to me. Like, I watched my mom for 40 years. She was in a weight loss group, and it was very social. I knew all the people because they were always getting together, and I watched this for 40 years. None of these people lost weight. In fact, most of them gained weight collectively over the years, but they stayed in the group because it was social. That's a really good place to interact with them, because they'll buy a lot of products when they're in that safety group that they wouldn't necessarily buy outside. So kind of the moral of the story there is there's a lot of opportunity for you outside of what's going against you.
So you're saying that regardless of the fact that 60% they're claiming of buyers are now going directly to Amazon for physical commodities or for supplements, you would not try to compete or to worry about your visibility on Amazon. You would look outside of Amazon.
Yeah, see,
That's
there's
where you
things
would put your energy.
you can't worry about something you can't change. If there's something that you can't change, you've got to find a way around it.
Well, there's two things. One thing, we could put supplements on Amazon, but not have them for sale. One of the reasons I don't want to put products on Amazon is because of the amount of profit that they would take, to sell on Amazon. That's one reason. You could have products on there, but have them out of stock. So you could show up among competitors. You could also have ebooks where you would do reviews of other competitors' products on Amazon. So when people saw your competitors, those are two things.
Yeah, what do you think? That's a couple of good angles, because visibility is one thing. Like, let's say, and actually visibility and fear of loss, the whole FOMO thing. So that's a brilliant idea. If you put the product on there and it was out of stock, but your marketing materials really pumped it as this is the one they wanted, but they can't get it. Mm-hmm. When you do that, people kind of go to extreme measures, because what's the first thing they're going to want to do? Oh, well, Amazon's out of stock. Where else can I get it? So if it's a brand name that a brand search will lead back to you, that's where you could take that process of the search engine being against you and turn it to where it was for you.
Okay.
That would be a really good angle of attack to do that.
Okay, so your basic principle then is, if 60% of people are on a platform, you want to try to find some way to have visibility on that platform.
Yes, it's always a good idea to play along with the flow. But one thing, this might just be me, but I think Amazon is an absolutely evil entity. And I can tell you some of the stuff that they have done to people that I know. I know several people that have created products that were seriously their own product, proprietary. They have put it on Amazon, and when it starts to move really well, Amazon knocks it off, and they prioritize their own version of it. So they now that you've got a competitor you can't beat.
Hmm.
I mean,
Right.
that's not cool. That is just not cool at all. So I tend to, Ellie says, yeah, you probably had an
No free
experience.
market, no free market with the, you know, with the, what's it called, John, when that one gigantic, you know, what's it called when one person owns everything?
Monopoly.
Oh, monopoly, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no free market. There's no capitalism anymore with Amazon or most of the other online opportunities. But
Yeah, Amazon, one of the things that I've heard this from many people that are in the know, they said Amazon is a testing bed where they're allowing other people to test with their money and their products to develop things to find out what's hot and what they should jump on.
and then they'll even they'll copy your product and alter it a small degree so you have no, and what are you going to do, sue them if they mimic your product? You're going to sue the elephant when you're the fly, no.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah, it's, to me
Anthony's
it should be, we used to have laws against monopolies, but now all we have are monopolies. There's like 9 food companies in the United States people are unaware of that dominate the entire food and product market. It's crazy. And there's 3 broadcasting companies, and they buy everybody out and they let them leave their names, and it's all cloak and, it's covered up, but it's really just one monopoly after another. So I don't know. But, what's your name? I can't see your name.
That's Anthony.
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 Yeah.
I like the idea of you reviewing other people's products. A lot of times when someone commented down here in the chat that when you put a product that's out of stock, they won't even show it as visible anymore because they know that you're onto their game. So, but when you do review other products and if you can go on as a different, if you can try different ways of doing it, like you go on as yourself or you go on as someone else and you review and say, hey, I've tried this, this product was okay for me, but then I switched to this product, and you redirect. It's a little,
We've been experimenting with ebooks, and what my theory was going in is if you could have an ebook that, say, if you had brand X, had brand like a hydroxycut, and then you had a hydroxycut ebook, is it safe for women? Is it risky? And what happened was we experimented with this, and once we started to get some sales, where you see the bottles, the book would show up right next to the bottles. And John, you're laughing. Yeah. And we were intercepting their customers and then sending them off of Amazon. They suspended one of these Kindle accounts, though, because I don't think that they want that type of criticism of products that they're selling on their platform. So we're talking with Amazon right now to see what the problem is with the ebooks, but that was one of the things we were trying out.
I was laughing because one of the little tricks that we used to do with ebooks and Amazon is our intention was never to sell the book on Amazon. What we did, we would make the cover of the book, and right on the cover we would put, get a free copy of the book, and put the website address in the image. So yeah, you could buy it here for $19.95, or you can go to our website and get it for free.
Yeah, I think they have a law now. There's some kind of regulation on Kindle that they're very strict about where you can send people off of that.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, we didn't do it in the text. The text, they've got readers where they can see that, but we would put it actually in the image of the cover of the book.
That's funny.
And that's how we got around that.
And the book image was like a PDF, not a live link, John?
Yeah, it was not a live link. It just said, get the book for free at www. whatever.
Smart.
Yeah, that's how we got around that. But I don't know, I'm sure if they policed that and saw it, But,
They police everything.
but Amazon is so huge, you could probably get away with that for a long time before they caught it.
If I could change the subject.
Sure, yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, well, my questions are around, I've bought an expired domain and I'm
Okay.
trying to transition to a live money site because that domain supposedly had a domain authority of 31 with some backlinks in my niche as high as 39. But now the timing comes in, it's still expired, and I've only had 6 articles written. I had intended to have more, but it just didn't work out where, finding writers who write good articles for a small enough amount of money, I had a little problem with it. But anyway, my question comes to, so now I'm going to put the site live, right?
Okay.
And I've got my privacy page and my other things about us and all that. So, but these backlinks, they've been dead for a while, and I want to use the site pop to show that they actually have traffic.
Okay.
So, like, there's like, how quickly should I start sending traffic to them?
You can send traffic immediately. That's not a problem. If I'm getting this right, you bought the expired domain because it had authority and links going to it and all that, and you want to try and revive it. One of the things the problem is going to be if the site was of any size, a lot of the links will be going to deeper pages that will be broken. And eventually Google will devalue it. And if Google sees too many broken links to a site, it's going to lose some trust, and that authority is going to drop. And that's one of the problems with it. A solution to that is going back. There's the Wayback Machine. Are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah.
It's archive.org. You can go back and you can get like screenshots of what the site used to look like, and all the linking structure, the navigation, all that. And there's even, I don't know what it is, but I've heard there's a software. I think John Pierce and those guys made a software that would actually go back in the Wayback Machine and grab a copy of it and literally transfer it right into your hosting account.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, I want to make it my own site.
Sure.
What it is it has like a generic name,
Okay.
and so that's one reason I thought having never done this before, perhaps I was naive, and I'm finding that I was naive because half of those articles are from like a weight loss niche, and half of them are from the niche that I want to be in.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I think Google is going to be confused. What I was theorizing was that I would use the URL, even though it may say a weight loss thing, but I would put my title of the article for my niche.
Sure.
And that way and it's a race against time, because the longer I wait to put the site live, the longer the site that's backlinking to me has to discover they have a broken link and get rid of it altogether.
Yeah, so the strategy behind why you would want to grab the old site is not for the content, not necessarily for the look and feel or the brand or anything like that. You obviously want to make it your own site, but it's the framework, it's the structure, and then you plug all of your own information into that structure. It's like kind of like the framework and the blueprint of the house. If
Okay.
Google sees that house has been reopened, and all the rooms, you know, maybe they've got new decorations and all that, that's perfectly fine. But as far as Google looking at the site and figuring it's for one thing or another, that can easily be changed with search signals from the site pop software. Because when searches are run for particular keywords and those signals start going in and Google starts getting them, their artificial intelligence is learning based on human behavior. So if enough people start going to the site and telling Google, hey, the site's about this and not that, Google will shift its thought process of what the site is about and start valuing it for other things. I had that very same thing on one of my oldest sites, because we used to have a mall on there for a bunch of different companies. And when I got rid of the mall, it was like for years, Google kept valuing that site for things that were on that mall that no longer existed. And I mean, it lasted for years. It didn't go away anytime soon. It wasn't until I focused Site Pop on it and started retraining Google on what the site was now about. Now all of those other listings are gone. But it took it a while. You know, it took it a while to make that shift. Google's artificial intelligence doesn't shift instantly.
Well,
So,
that actually could be the answer to another problem that I have,
okay.
in that many of these links go directly to the home page.
Okay.
So, and the anchor text is not exactly what I would want, and I have no control over the anchor text.
Yeah.
So I'm basically just hoping for the authority from the backlinks, and then the site has to be my site with my articles and so
Sure.
forth.
Sure. And you know, from a strictly from a search engine perspective, you know, if you're trying to do search engine optimization, there's three key factors now at play. There's the on-page content. That's factor number one. They call it on-page factors. That's the content of the site. It's how the pages are named, what the titles are, all of the content. That's one factor to get Google to recognize what you should be valued for. The next factor is inbound links. That's called off-page optimization. And when people put anchor text links, meaning they're linking text that links to your site, Google looks at the text of the link and says, oh, well, that site must be about what this text is. And it's looking at those factors. And the third factor is what we call search signals. And it's Google's artificial intelligence looking at how people are searching and what they're clicking on and how long they stay on a page, what they do before and after. They're looking at all of those factors from a behavioral standpoint to try and figure out what is the world, how do they feel about each website. Like if you have a website and you're getting people to click and link and do stuff that is not true to form, they usually hit the site and it wasn't what they wanted and they bounce off. Well, Google's artificial intelligence sees that and they say, well, that site does not provide a good user experience. We don't want to send our traffic to it. So you drop in the ranking because of that. So that's that third piece. So you have on page, off page, and then user signals. User signals, I believe, will trump the other two. Now, SEO has always been a game of numbers. It's always been a game of who does the most collectively across the board. So depending on what niche you're in and what keywords you're after and how competitive they are, you might be able to win the game with only one of those factors. If it's really competitive, you might have to use all three and everything you've got just to play the game. But I truly believe that the artificial intelligence has become the priority factor. I think it has the most weight at this point. So even though you've got maybe poor quality links coming in, if you offset that with user signals, I think it will balance it out, weigh it out.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that I should not really focus on those links that are there. I should make new URLs to the articles that, because then the articles, well, I'm not even going to use the old articles. They're not for what I want to sell.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to lose the authority.
Yeah, well,
That
just replace the articles and the content that's there with good
yeah.
content, new content, fresh content. And back to, I don't know if you were on the call when I first started, but I was talking about like one of the most important things to grow your business is to grow your list.
Absolutely.
Every piece of content that you create on your website should be geared and focused towards growing your list. Like, let's say you put a really good article out there about something that somebody would be interested in. At the end of the article, always have a call to action. Like, say, you know, this is something that you could do if you just didn't have anything. You could say, if you like this article, go ahead and opt in below. We're going to be releasing a series on this that's going to be really important to you, and I'll include you in that, and I'll send you an email to let you know when it's ready. That's just the most simple, basic thing. You're making an offer of something that's valuable to a person in exchange for their name and email address. You can,
Right.
there's lots and lots of ways to build your list, but you've got to be focused on building your list if you want to grow your business. It's all about that communication with the list.
Right. I just have one last question on this. I've already touched on it. What do I do with all of these backlinks going to the homepage? Because I mean, can I use SitePop to somehow separate them, or?
SitePop doesn't have anything to do with linking.
Uh-huh.
SitePop has to do with search signals. So
Okay.
it really doesn't broach over into fixing anything to do with link building.
Actually, I think I may have just answered my own question. I'll just put them, because I have to let them go to the home page, because I can't control the anchor text and where it leads. But
Okay.
I can interlink from one article to that, or
Yeah.
from that to another article.
Yes. And interlinking is a really good thing to do. Google loves the fact that content links from one thing to the next, especially when it's relevant. So that's a really good thing to do, is interlinking. Look at like one of the biggest sites on the web is Wikipedia. Google loves Wikipedia, and it favors Wikipedia a lot because Wikipedia has not only so much content, it's so well interlinked, and so many people go there as a source of reference. It's got all the signals Google wants. Massive valuable content, interlinking, people following the links, time on the site, brand recognition. It's like Google's favorite type of player. That's what Google likes to favor, is authority sites. So interlinking is a form of authority. It's you're linking from one thing to the next inside your own house.
All right. So you actually gave me more work, because now I got to start thinking of my email list, which, I mean, that's where I just underestimated this whole project, because you almost have to do everything
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
whole thing, this is a concept for everybody. And it's really, really important. If you don't have a sales process in your business, you can't create an online business that will be effective. Because I've said this over and over and over, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's so important. I have never seen something that didn't work first in the real world ever work online. You have to have systems in place in a business, like a sales process, to be able to replicate that with your website. That is of key importance to you guys. If you're running a business and you can't make it work in the real world, don't expect the internet to magically make it work. It's not going to. You know, it's all about people. You know, business is about people. It's about people transacting with one another. And if you don't know how to do that in real life, you're probably not going to have a real good time online, because you're not going to be replicating something that actually works. You know, a lot of people have said this: if you want something that someone else has, you have to do what they do. So if your competitor is booming and you're not, you need to take a look at why they're booming. What are they doing? How do they run their business? They obviously have a sales process. If they have a sales process and you don't, I don't care how good you are at SEO, you can't fix that problem. All the traffic in the world, if it goes to a non-sales process, you're going to get a non-sales result. And that's where marketing comes in. You know, marketing, I kind of gave the outline of what quality marketing does. It's 4 pieces. Quality marketing on the front end grabs people's attention. The next thing, it pulls them in. It educates them. It creates demand and desire through an education process. It's teaching people why you are the best solution for them. What is it about you or what you have that they can't live without? It's creating demand and desire. The next piece is eliminating any objections that might be in place or might come up before you make your offer. When you make your offer, you want to make sure that they want it. You want to make sure there's no reason they won't get it, and you want to make the appropriate offer. That's a sales process. That's a marketing campaign. They are one and the same. So if you haven't figured out like why someone would want to buy your stuff, you kind of need to start there. You need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what it is about what they're offering that someone would want. And then you need to build a marketing campaign around that that grabs their attention, creates the demand and desire, eliminates the objections, and makes an offer. If you get that right in the real world, that's really easy to replicate online. But if it doesn't work in the real world and you replicate it online, it's not going to work here either. So that's a really important thing that you guys got to get your heads wrapped around. Things, just because you're online, just because you have a website, it does not change the dynamics of the world. It doesn't change the way people interact. It changes nothing. Yeah, go ahead, Ellie. Oh, you're muted there. There, I unmuted you.
So John, that's the crucial point for me and for my clients that I'm assisting,
Yes.
how to do exactly what you're talking about.
Yes,
So
especially your new client.
Yes, so that's why I'm on here, and I actually am listening because I don't know even what to ask, because we're at baseline, you know, base camp.
Yeah,
And we're not even at base camp. We're kind of packing the bags for base camp. So
yeah, and I've kind of, I'll be totally honest and truthful with you. I have been holding him at arm's length, not really wanting him as a client.
yes,
Because he does not have something that's going to work in the real world. I don't see it anyway. I'm not saying they can't come up with it, but I don't see it, and I don't know how I could help. Now, if he wants to start at the beginning and really kind of figure out what the market wants and create something, that's where you have to really start the process. But you know, the pie in the sky stuff is really hard to sell. It's like he wants to make a difference. He wants to affect people's lives. He wants to do a charity, philanthropy type of thing. And I don't know that he's in a position to be able to afford to do that. And if you don't have a functioning business and you're not financially healthy, you cannot start with philanthropy. You have to make yourself healthy first. Your business has to be strong enough to be able to give back. Giving back is awesome. I mean, I highly encourage it. I do as much as I can, but if the only reason I can do it is because my business is healthy. You know, I can leverage things to help others because my business is healthy. If you're just starting out and your focus is nonprofit and philanthropy and all the feel good stuff, it's
Well, that's where there's a mix, John. He's like conflicted. Like I don't have my notes for his business right here, unfortunately, but he wants to create workshops and things. He's not clear, and I have to help him get clear because you have it spot on. He wants to make a contribution and be of service.
And that's awesome. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. But I'm not sure how to sell what he's offering, and I'm not sure what he's offering in terms
that's my whole point to that thing. And you're right on. And that's the thing that he's got to figure out, or we've got to help him figure out.
Well, that's what he wants our help with, to help him figure out what to sell and how to sell it. Because, you know, he's a survivor of cancer, and so he feels like he could help people, but
he's got a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story, and we all have a good story, but so he has this, it's like a split, because I was talking with him, you know, I'm working with him, and he has a piece where he wants to help people prosper with real estate because he's a very successful real estate person.
Okay. Now there's something we can get our hooks into.
Okay, so I need to be able to, I'm going to be over there this afternoon. Are you available for a conversation with him and I later this afternoon? I'm not sure what to do, John. I don't know. And he said, I'm sorry to ask this publicly, but I know he purchased the URLs, but did he purchase your program?
No. The only thing that I did was I got the URLs for him. That was it.
Okay, so we need to get things going from the ground up with you so that we could work with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's the beginning. So
and like I said, I've not really offered him anything. I've kind of been holding him at arm's length because I don't like to take people on that I can't help.
Right.
And if I can't help somebody, last thing I want to do is take somebody's money knowing I can't help them.
Right. So is it possible to have a conversation with you on how to figure out how we can help him and be effective, or help him redirect? Like, that's where
I think is he does he drive? Is he mobile? Does he get out?
He does drive. I think he's getting a new car delivered this week. He leaves, and he's actually getting a new car delivered this week.
Yeah, because I think probably for both of you, I think probably the biggest thing that you could do is probably bring him to that first introductory act thing where we do the 2-day live event. Because in that 2 days, we really break down the process of identifying markets, segmenting markets, figuring out what is a profitable segment of a market. And then once we figure that out, then we build an avatar. And we figure out, okay, what's important to this avatar? And that could actually be part of the process of building products to sell to the avatar. And I think that is really where he's at. If you don't know what you're going to sell or what you're going to do and all of that, if you're at ground zero, that training is really invaluable. It's 2 days, and most people that go through it, even if they think they knew what they were doing, a lot of times they have a big shift there because of what they learned in that.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think rather than having a conversation, we're not going to get that accomplished in an hour.
Right. John, I'm sorry to cut you off. When is your next act? Is it the act 2 day? When's the next one?
Okay, let me take a look at my events here. The next fast track, which is what we're talking about, is March 25th and 26th. And then the one after that there's one on April 28th and 29th. Those two are the beginning course. That's the fast track. And it's basically, we're going through the whole ACT process in 2 days. It's kind of an overview. It's a fast track piece.
Right, right. And that doesn't conflict with any of Craig's stuff, right?
No, it
You
does
wouldn't
not.
do that.
No, I wouldn't conflict with Craig's stuff. I don't fight battles I can't win, right?
Oh, exactly. I love you. I love you.
And then the second step to that is, once you've got that foundation, the second step to it is I'm doing a new thing which I've never done before, and I'm calling it Funnel Camp. And that's actually going to be 2 days of going through the process of setting up an actual sales funnel in Kartra, like beginning to end, setting up a client acquisition funnel in Kartra. And we're going to spend 2 days on it. And then I'm going to do the final event, which is another 2-day event just on traffic. I'm going to call it Traffic Camp. And it's going to be, I wouldn't recommend going to Traffic Camp unless you've got the other two in place, like
Right.
you've got something worthy of sending traffic to it.
Right, right.
Because I'm going to cover, like, all kinds of different forms of traffic, free traffic, paid traffic,
Right.
really powerful traffic sources.
Well, that's awesome. And then I wanted to know, I saw, our communication about you have an awesome team to help build a website and launch it.
Uh-huh.
We provide the copy and the content. So
Yes.
I would like, so providing the content is still, and this is exactly what we're talking about, another issue. So
yeah, and here's something, this is for everybody. Don't start investing in creating content and websites until you've got that foundation figured out. Until you figured out who you're selling to and why they want it. Don't invest money in creating marketing materials until you figure those two things out. Figure out, who's your ideal customer and what is it that you have that's going to be incredibly valuable and important to them. Then you build your marketing message around that. That's where your website comes in. Your website, the only function of your website should be to deliver that marketing message. And if you don't have the marketing message, don't spend money on building a website. You've got to get that right. Otherwise, it's great to have a website to say you've got a website and have a place to send people to see your picture and get your contact information.
yeah.
But that's pretty expensive to accomplish that.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to figure out who you're selling to, what you're selling them, why they want it. You build your marketing messaging and let your website and your funnels deliver that. That should be the job of your website and the job of your marketing materials, your autoresponders, your follow-up sequences. Your whole marketing funnel should be there only to deliver that marketing message and grab attention, create demand and desire, eliminate objections, and make an offer. And in that order. Like, I see a lot of people that put their offers right on their website and they throw out the price. And here's back to the real world. A salesperson would never reveal the price before they've built the value, right? If you find a really good salesperson, that will never be part of their process. They will never tell you the price until they've built the value. So if you've got a website and you're throwing the price out before you've built the value, you've built a process that is doomed to fail. A real salesperson would never do that. So why would you want your website to do something that was destined to fail? And that's what I see. I see a lot of people, they do that, and I don't know why. I don't know. It's probably an education thing. It's like when the web came out, there was this magical fantasy that was percolated all over the world that you get a website and you're going to be rich. It's bullshit. It is absolute hogwash. It's not, it doesn't work that way. If it did, we'd all be rich, right? Because we all have websites. doesn't work that way. It's like business is the same thing. It's like 80% of businesses fail in the first 18 months. This is a statistic out of Forbes magazine. This is not just me saying it. This is true. 80-something% of businesses are going to fail in the first 18 months. It's not because they didn't want to. It's because they were sold some bill of goods that they were going to throw a website up and they were going to be rich. And it's not true. And they suffer the effects of that. They fall for something that's not accurate. And, you know, the businesses that do succeed, I guarantee you they succeed because they have processes that work in the real world. If you look at the marketers that are making a killing online, all they've done is they looked at what worked in the real world and they recreated it in a marketing funnel. And then they drive traffic to it. And they make a ton of money doing it. But those are the only people that are making money online. It's if you don't have a sales process that you have digitized, I have not come across anybody that's making a lot of money online that hasn't done that. You know, if you look at my business replicates things that I've always done in the real world in my businesses that have worked. I didn't always do this. You know, when I first started out, it was a learning process. But when I finally figured it out, I'm like, oh my God, there is a system to this. And every time I use the system, I make money. And every time I don't. It's like, okay, I know how to move forward now. And that's why I put the whole ACT program together, was basically to transfer that knowledge to you guys. You know, the knowledge of this is how business works. The ACT program, the analysis, creation, and traffic process, I know it's boiled down to a very simplistic thing, but the concept behind it, the steps inside it, they're exactly what ad agencies do. They're exactly why businesses are successful. When they go to an ad agency and they pay all that money, this is the process the ad agency does. They always start an analysis. They will look at the market. They will figure out if there's other segments of the market that you're not paying attention to that you should. They do all that analysis first before they get into building a marketing campaign. Once they do the analysis, they figure out the most profitable segments. They go in deeper now and they grab that avatar and they will do a focus group. They will invite people that are in that group that are those perfect avatars. They'll invite them in and they'll do a focus group. They will research them. They will ask them questions. Again, they're compiling data. They're figuring out what's important to those people, what they need, what they'll pay for, and what they're missing. And then they go into creation mode. Then they go into figuring out, okay, based on what we know about this person, how are we first going to grab their attention? How are we going to make them a promise of their desired outcome? And then how are we going to educate them and create that demand and desire? And what are their objections? You know, that's part of the analysis process, is figuring out when somebody discovers that they have found the perfect thing, what's going to prevent them from buying it? That's an objection. And you have to know those. You have to understand those up front so you can eliminate them before you make your offer. If you make your offer before the objections are eliminated, you've just set yourself up for failure. So it's a process. You know, the ACT program is a process, and it is a process that works in the real world. Ad agencies have been using it for over 100 years. So taking that and building that into your website, can you now see how you could take a website and you could actually build one that works? That's the mechanics behind it. So I really encourage people to just put the brakes on what they're doing. You know, stop spending money, stop buying stuff, stop building websites, stop spinning your wheels, and go back to the beginning. Look at your market. Are you focused on the right segment of the market? Are you focused on the most profitable segment of the market? And what do they want? And what's the sequence to get them into? Like if you're selling a high-end item, that's a big commitment. You can't make that in one jump. That's like, you know, the dinner date before the coffee date. You got to figure out, you know, what's the ladder? I need to give them the lowest rung of the ladder so they can grab a hold and take the first step. You know, that's the sequence. That's the process you got to figure out in your business to be able to digitize it and build a website around it. And you know, if you've got clients, I guarantee you, if this is a skill set, this is something that you can easily learn. It's not really that difficult. Like I've broken it down in the program in those 3 steps: the analysis, the creation, and the traffic. And in each one of those are sections, and each one I've got all the pieces broken down into how to exactly to do it. If you learn that, you get that skill set under your belt, you will become incredibly valuable to other people. Other people that need that done, you will all of a sudden become the most important person to them, because you can deliver the thing that they need desperately that they don't have and they don't know how to get it. And a lot of people are selling them stuff that is not what they want. They're really good salespeople and they're selling them all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of bills of goods being sold right now that don't work. And if you look at it, just ask yourself, does that work in the real world? And where have I seen that work in the real world? Replicate stuff that you've seen work and digitize it. And when you do that, you can automate it. You can automate the process. That's where you can get that big thing that we all desire, is called freedom. When you can digitize something and automate it and walk away and the process works without you being there, that's what we all live for. That's what we strive for. That's a real business. You know, I ask people a lot of times, do you have a business or a job? And they always say they have a business, but when I break it down and describe what a business is, usually they'll say, oh shit, I have a job. I just work for myself. You know, a job requires you being there to make things work. And a business runs without you. So when I describe it like that, they're like, oh, I guess I don't have a business. You know, I can ask a couple of key questions of, you know, what happens if you want to go on vacation for a month? Do the tires fall off? And if they do, you don't really have a business. You've got something that you call a business, but it's really a job. You just created it. Yeah, you're your own boss. And yeah, you could technically call it a business, but that's not how businesses work. So you want something, you want a business that works for you, not a business you work for. And that's what I'm talking about. If you figure out those processes and you can automate them, and that's when you've got a real business. So anyway, I hope that's helpful stuff for you guys. Sometimes I feel like I'm preaching here, and I don't want to do that. I'm trying to give you the truth and the reality. And you know, there's a lot of stuff about this that's not good. You don't want to hear it. But
preach.
but I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's so important.
Well, you're so honest, and it's actually right. I mean, John, we've known each other a long time through the mastermind, and this has always been my block, exactly what you're talking about. I've tried so many things, and
Yeah,
it doesn't work unless you do exactly. And I've worked for ad agencies.
Yeah, so you've
and
seen this
to
process.
go back to working for ad agencies, because at least I make a lot of money. But anyway.
Yeah, well, no, become the ad agency. You know how they work. You know what I'm saying is true.
Yeah, I really, really do.
Yeah.
So yes, this is awesome. I love you so much.
Yeah, it's true, and it makes you so valuable. if you want to create a business to help other businesses, and you can offer them this thing, it is incredibly valuable because it's what they desperately need, and they don't know how to get it. If they did, they wouldn't be buying thing after thing after thing, hunting for the golden goose that is not being offered to them. So it's just, and you can learn it. I learned it. You can learn it. It's a learned skill. It's not anything that we're born with. It's like anything else. Business skills can be learned. You can go to school and learn them. You can, the school thing, I really hate that process because they drag something simple out into a year's time, and I can't learn at that rate. I lose interest really quickly. I've got to be shoveled and fire hosed information for me to be able to take it and get on with it, because I want to take and implement like almost in the same day, and school just is not set up for that. It's set up to trickle carrots along and along and along, and by the time you get to the end, you forget where you started and why you're even there. So anyway, any other questions before we wrap up? Allie, I know you wanted to talk today, but I've got another webinar that I'm doing and a Q&A, and then I've got clients in the afternoon. So today I'm pretty well blocked up.
Okay.
But
I just wanted to know, I'm going to do my best to enroll my client in attending the March ACT Fast
okay.
Track.
Yeah.
And then with me and him, and then what I need to do is, we have 2 weeks until then, or thereabouts, the gap. What do I do to move forward with this client?
That's really the first thing really is to build a foundation. You're kind of putting a blueprint together.
Right.
And that 2-day event really is going to lay the groundwork for that. So the best thing you could do is just cool his jets a little bit for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
And just tell him, hey, you've got this. I know what we're doing. Here's the first step. We're going to go to this thing and we're going to get the foundation laid. So I think just for lack of a better word, just cool his jets for a little bit.
Okay, I gotcha.
Because he wants to run. The problem is he hasn't learned to walk yet, and if you get him up running, he's running for a cliff.
Right.
And it's your job to prevent that.
Yeah.
Whenever you're working for clients, it's your job to protect them. So that should be job number one. And that's the best thing that you could do right now is just, prevent them from jumping up and running off a cliff. Let's do it right. Let's take the time to do it right, and he'll love you for it.
Roger that. So basically pause until we can attend your course. Is that the bottom line on that?
Yeah, I mean, you could start going through the online stuff. You can start getting what I would recommend, and I recommend this for everybody, before you go through the 2-day course, if you can go through the online materials and get your head kind of wrapped around it first,
Okay.
that gives you a much better foundation going into that 2-day training.
Okay, and so I know this is a basic question. How do I get to that path? How do I start doing the online stuff?
I believe you have access. I'll send you your login so you can get into it.
Okay.
And just kind of go through it, and it's probably a few hours worth of videos.
Okay.
But just go through them with the idea of you're not really doing anything with the information yet. You're just absorbing it. So don't think you got to fill the workbook out or do any of the stuff. Just take in the content, take in the information, and just kind of let it sit and percolate.
Okay, great.
And then when we go through it in the 2-day, you'll already have kind of a base foundation, and it'll be gelled, and then we'll really get to work.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, John.
That's my recommendation, to spend your time in the next couple of weeks is doing that.
I will do that. We will do that. I
Yeah.
will do that.
And, you know, if you can get him to sit through it with you, great, because it's an education process that the more he understands, the more he'll value it, and the more he'll be able to relax because he knows there's a system. He knows you're in charge, and he knows that it's taken care of.
Got it.
Hey, John, just to clarify, your funnel boot camp is on the 18th and 19th, right, of this month?
Let's see, I believe so. Funnel Camp is on the 19th and 20th. March 19 and 20 is Funnel Camp.
Okay.
So Funnel Camp is like the second phase after you've done the fast track. And Chris, you guys have done the fast track, so you're ready for the Funnel Camp. Allie, for you, you could come to Funnel Camp first, but I think if you do the fast track, you're going to be
Better prepared.
yeah, you'll be much better off for it.
So, you know, John, technology melts my brain. I can paint or sculpt anything, and being a visionary, I'm all about branding. I can come up with a brand line like lightning, but the technical stuff I have to like sit with and.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, this is something really cool, not only for you, but for everybody. And, you know, believe it or not, I'm not a tech guy. Everybody.
I don't believe that.
No. Everybody thinks that I am, and I'm really not. I mean, when I came into this business, I was a photographer. I'd never even turned a computer on. I use technology as a tool to get things done that I need done. But I'm not a tech freak. I'm not, I'm just not. And when Kartra came out, Kartra is it's a software program that really solves the problem for people that are non-technical to be able to build systems online graphically. You know, it's like drag and drop. And I think when you see it, when you go through the Funnel Camp piece and you watch me build a funnel, literally just clicking buttons and dragging and dropping, there's no coding. You're just focused on making it look pretty.
Did Kartra create the Macintosh of funnels?
It did, yes.
I mean, because Mac said artists don't do technology, so.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly. That you've got it right on the money. So Kartra is the Mac of funnels. They took all the technical stuff out of it. You know how everybody went and they flocked to Infusionsoft and nobody could do it, and they called it Confusionsoft?
Confusionsoft, yes.
Well, I was one of them. I could not get Confusionsoft to work. I just wanted
Hey,
to pull.
we've been here a long time. Craig, remember, he even had them as a sponsor, and he couldn't do it even with their genius.
Yeah.
Genius doing his back end.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that really has Infusionsoft up and working and really knows it and has freedom to do whatever they want with it. I don't know anybody.
Not small businesses, big, gigantic.
Yeah, and even them, they hire a team of tech geeks.
Yes, that's what I mean.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm not one of those guys. I am, believe it or not, I'm probably closer to you than you think.
There's my painting in the background.
Oh, cool. But yeah, Kartra it's allowed me so much freedom to be able to do all the stuff I've known I needed to do for all these years, and now I can do it. And training on that's you guys are gonna totally dig that. So
That's awesome. So I guess we'll see you at the end of March, and then we'll figure out you'll, I guess, do another funnel camp. And
yeah, I've got
basically you're doing camps on each of the part of ACT, right?
Yep, 3 pieces.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So all right, guys, well, let's regroup next week. I'm probably going to push the call to Wednesday next week because I've got a speaking engagement on Thursday. So just kind of a little pre-warning there. I'll send the notice out, but next week's call will more than likely be on Wednesday versus Thursday. And then we'll be back on Thursdays again. So everybody have a great week, and we will talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, John. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, John.
All right. See you guys
You
later.
will.
Bye.
Bye-bye.